Today I'm with Mitcham, who's the founder and CEO at Trigify, and also happens to be one of the craziest automation wizards that I've seen since starting my career in the GTM space.
I have 3 different agents. So we've got Bella, who is Chief Strategy Officer. So we have Rex, who's our marketing man. Taz, who basically is like our product manager, essentially. This is their AI chat. They're just talking to each other, basically.
Oh, wow.
It's so funny, like the other day, and I got a message from her saying she's really disappointed with like Taz's performance. She's been very disappointed with how it's like been operating recently. My team was like, oh, there's drama happening over in the
drama between the agents, yeah.
This is like the mission control is what we call it. I can see all of my different agents that I have. This is quite fun. I can even see them like walking around. I watch them play with each other.
Max has been sharing screen recordings on LinkedIn where he would be showcasing like his multi-step end-to-end workflows, and he was actually sort of building or stitching together tools in the same way Clay allows you to do, but like way before Clay. So now like it became cool to showcase Clay workflows, but before it was cool to do so. Did I miss anything, or like could I have introduced you better than that?
I think you nailed it there, but I actually never went and did Clay workflows, to be honest. I never jumped on that train. I continued going down the NA10 techie path and kind of never looked back. In fact, I think it was you who told me that you think I should simplify my content a little bit more. It might land with more people.
Yeah, I think it's like this case of sometimes I see some very smart people such as you who are so advanced that like you're just like way too ahead when it comes to, I mean, like just compared to the rest of us, say normal people, which means that not everybody can understand it. And so because not everybody can understand it, then like you're actually missing out on the opportunity to go viral. And so I think this is actually something that we've seen, even us at Codex. I think something we've done pretty well has been to dumb down whatever we talk about when we talk about AI, sales automation, etc. But even then, I think like we are perhaps say the best at dumbing down all of this stuff. But even then, it just, sometimes I talk to people and they say, oh, I don't understand, it's too advanced for me. And then I see like the rest of the space which just like goes like super complex. So yeah, I guess it's just like a game of, do you want to showcase what you actually do, or do you want to make content to generate leads, and you have to pick.
Although I will say that people watch my stuff and they do get confused, but then they come to me anyway to try and get me to replicate. So I get leads out of it one way or another. I just find it too hard to dumb down.
Yeah.
I'm not good at that part.
But then like this, because like back in the days you had the automation agency. So I guess that you would be sharing these workflows, then we'd be looking at this, we would understand what the workflow does, but then as soon as we'd be like, okay, this is too complex, then this is where we would reach out to you. Actually, I know this because we actually had your team build a good chunk of automations for us. But now with Trigify, I guess it's a different story, because now the whole idea is that people should self-serve to your SaaS. Exactly. So you need to be talking about a slightly different topic, which is social signals. So you gotta change your content a little bit. You know, I think like you did this new series where you showcase like how Trigify work by doing this social engineering analysis. And I think this is a good way to showcase some conclusions without like confusing everyone.
Exactly, yeah. The social listening reports that I now do. And I got one coming out on Cold IQ next week, so that should be a good one. I've been analyzing everything that you guys and the team have been doing on social media, so it should prove interesting. I
love it. I'm very curious to see it. But then today, like we're gonna be talking about something almost even more exciting, because you were discussing end-to-end, but I'm assuming, I don't know, that like you don't use end-to-end as much as you used to, because now we have some new, very exciting toolings, the likes of Claude Code, Codex, OpenClaw, and so on. And I think you have one of the craziest setup, because you were actually explaining to me that you have OpenClaw orchestrate your entire marketing, sales, and customer success strategy. And so like OpenClaw is sort of giving orders to Claude Code or Codex, depending on which one is the best at any given time.
Yeah.
So could you perhaps like expand more on that and then like show us some of the ways you're able to automate the marketing and sales for Trigify?
Yeah, of course. I'll do my best at keeping it high level. But yeah, to your point, I've actually not logged into NA10 this year. I think I actually need to cancel my subscription because I don't use it anymore. Nothing runs on there anymore. There is no point. Now, I'm not saying that for everyone to go do that. I think it still holds a really valuable place. And it depends how far deep you want to go in these things, right? I think is the key thing, because obviously what I'm doing is quite advanced, and it's so ironic or so funny now that I'm now saying that NA10 is the easier version, because like way back when it was like Clay is the easier version and NA10 is advanced, and now it's like taken on like another manifestation. But yeah, I'm using OpenClaw, Claude Code, and Codex primarily, and I think it's really important to maybe just address the differences between those three.
Okay.
Claude Code and Codex they're all basically harnesses to certain LLMs. Claude Code is obviously a harness to the Anthropic models, and Codex is the harness to the Codex models, which is the OpenAI models. And then OpenClaw is effectively more of like an agentic system that can harness multiple models and do obviously lots of different things on top of that. So think of it as like if you're wanting a system to be like specialized, you would use something like Claude Code or Codex. And if you want more of like an all-rounder system, you use something like OpenClaw, which kind of can be the conductor essentially to all of these different kind of sub agents and different models. So that's the way just to think about it, like architecturally. It's like you've got OpenClaw, which is the composer, or the conductor, and then you've got these sub kind of agents essentially, which is things like Claude Code and Codex, which then can go and do tasks and things like that for you. I started the journey on Claude Code specifically, and I use a terminal here called Warp. It's the Warp terminal, and you'll see down here that inside of this kind of like repo, which is a repository for everyone, which basically means, if I think about it like a simple way of describing it, this is just like a foldering system. So, you know, you might have a folder in your computer called sales, and then inside of that sales folder, you might have loads of different things like reports or leads and things like that. And that is effectively what this is here that we're looking at. And I spent the first kind of few months of this year particularly building this out. This was like prior to OpenClaw kind of even really like making much of a dent. And I think everyone would have heard a lot of chat around skills. So maybe just to highlight what skills are. Skills, and if we have a look at mine here, if I go to the skills folder, I've got all of these different skills. Skills are effectively, you know, if in my vision was to create like an AI CMO, so to speak. And the challenge with that is you have to think, okay, for example, writing a blog, it's very nuanced. There's lots of different things that you have to think about. The output requires certain standards. For example, like if we look at like blog writing, like we need to think about like the SEO requirements, how it's structured, how it's delivered, how it's laid out. If we look at like we got here down here, SEO audits, like again, these are all really, really important things for us to think about in terms of what does good look like and what is the workflow that the agent basically should follow essentially. So a skill, for lack of a better term, is effectively just a workflow. It's a step-by-step process that the agent should follow. Mm-hmm. So, for example, with blogs, I trained on, okay, we need to, first of all, do an SEO audit. That SEO audit, if I look up here inside of my folder system, if I just get rid of this, get rid of that, and I look at my blogs, SEO reports, here's the report here. You can see that it produced this whole thing, which is like, okay, here's your pillar topics. You need to talk about like social listening, LinkedIn monitoring, blah, blah, blah. Then you've got your cluster topics by pillar. So it knows, because I've given it a skill on the way that blogs work is you have your pillar topic, they're more of your large, longer form blogs, which are 2,000, 2,500 words typically. And then you have your cluster ones. So for example, if social listening is your pillar blog, underneath that you'll have things like, what is social listening? Top 10 social listening tools, like things like that tap into that.
Yeah.
And I've trained it all of these different skills so that it then can go and produce the work that would be akin to what a human would do, because it's been trained and it's following a systematic approach to executing on a certain task.
I see you have this Ahrefs export, and because I have a couple of questions, right? It's like you build these skills, but the way you build these skills, was it just based on your own knowledge? Okay, like you told it like, hey, this is how SEO works, so like I'm feeding you all of this information, and then based on that I'm creating the rules? Or like did you went online and then perhaps found the best resources you could find on the topic and then like brought them there to have the skill being created?
Both. Basically, yeah, both. I think there's a tool, right, which I use, which is the Claude Code Chrome extension. Now, I actually think no one really talks about it, but I think it is the most powerful thing out there. Like, it's unbelievable because it can reverse engineer an entire website. So, by the way, it's so easy to rip other products off because you can just say, like, give me all of the design systems that they're using, everything. Like, it's scary, like, how easy it is to reproduce other people's tools these days. But what I did with that was more go on to, you know, my top performing or competitors, right? And had it like completely analyze everything that they're doing from an SEO standpoint on their blog pages. Combine that with my knowledge or my head of marketing's knowledge on SEO and blogs and what's best practice. And then combine that with deep research. And then you kind of amalgamate that and you have this end result.
Okay.
And that's where we go.
And this export, did you do it yourself and then like added it to?
This isn't a skill. This is the result of it running. So if I went down to look at the skills here, you'd have this SEO research, which is, this is the skill that it runs. So it's define the research scope, query the API, analyze the results, and it's produced this result basically in here. Yeah. Okay,
so here it's because you train the skill and then like within the instructions, there is a step that involves going inside of Ahrefs and then like exporting some results.
Correct.
And so the skill did that, and then you had this document that got created as a result of your agents going inside of Ahrefs and pulling some results.
Correct, yeah. So another way to it, so I've got a skill here called social content. So this is a massive one, but inside of here, this is everything that I've like accumulated over the years of what makes a good LinkedIn post, what makes a good newsletter, what makes a good X post, what makes a good blog. It's actually kind of all inside of here. So you can see like all templates, transformations. If I scroll down to here, what's this? This is like hook patterns on newsletters, things like that. So then if I was to fire this up and I was to ask, you know, what makes a good LinkedIn post, it's going to automatically reference that skill, so it knows to, there we go, look, use that skill. Yeah, exactly. So whenever I ask it to talk about, you know, or help me write posts or help me think of ideas for posts or anything like that, it taps into this skill, and it might tap into 3 or 4 different skills, and it will chain them together and start to produce you like outputs essentially.
Nice. And so, in your opinion, like the best way to create skill is to actually curate as much as the best information as possible, and then say feed it to Claude. Essentially, meaning that now curation, as in like having a good idea of what's a great resource and what's not a great resource, becomes a very important skill on its own. I mean, personal skill. Yeah,
exactly. And then you got to think about the 360 loop. So one thing that I'm really like keen on with everything that the team does is, you know, everything should feed everything else. And so, for example, once my head of marketing is finished writing a blog with the agent, he would ask it a question like, did we deviate away from any of the skills that we use? Did I give feedback that perhaps isn't, you know, incorporated into the skills? What did we learn today? And that then updates it. And then I realized the team were using that a lot. So then I just built something on top, which is, okay, I have another skill inside of these skills, which basically says, okay, any learnings, anytime the team are taking you away from things and you think this is important to add, update it. And so now it's like continuously self-improving itself with the skills, essentially.
Yeah. And so about the social content skill, so one question I have about that is, do you improve the skill based on the results you get from social media? Because it's like one thing I've seen with social media is that, especially LinkedIn, is you could have those best practices, but then somehow, for some reason, some accounts, like some best practices work best with some accounts and then some don't. And so perhaps that being video heavy would work while for me being infographics heavy would work. And so I wonder if you sort of like have some sort of way to pick up the results of the post and then based on that give feedback and then have the skill being...
It's like you're teeing me up to pitch Trigify, but it's literally what I use, right? So Trigify has an API. We're actually just about to launch a CLI as well, which is really cool. And we launched a few weeks ago, an MPC as well. But what I'm doing with that specifically is I obviously monitor myself. I monitor my Substack. I monitor all of my different socials. That then feeds back not into a skill. So it feeds back into like a content folder that I have here, which is, okay, here's my post. This is how well they've done. Because you got to think about it. Skill isn't where things are stored. It's a step-by-step workflow. So it feeds back into a content folder, but I'm also monitoring people like you. I'm monitoring people like Adam Robinson. I'm monitoring all these people. The reason that I'm doing that is I want to understand, is anyone starting to do things different than what I'm doing that's clearly working? Maybe it's content, maybe it's the way they write, maybe it's the hooks, is the algorithm changing, things like that. So then I also have like an insights folder inside of our content folder here. And then what I have is, this brings us on to the next subject. And so again, I'm going to try and keep it simple, but is a thing called cron jobs. Okay, so what is a cron job? A cron essentially is like a task. So I could say, okay, hey, Claude, every day go and review the content folder and have a look at how well things have been performing. And if things are starting to trend in a negative way or a positive way, whatever it is, right, go and update my social content skill according to how the performance of things are going. Okay. It's obviously, it's a little bit more complex with that, but like that's what a cron is, which is a task. Now, the challenge with Claude Code is you could only run, they are introducing this ironically, you could only run crons on your laptop, so it's local, but your computer had to be on for them to run. Mm-hmm. So you then had to introduce things like trigger.dev or ingest, and these are things that basically runs things at like a scale offline, essentially. You can put it into the cloud, basically. And that requires quite a lot of technical lifting, which is why OpenClaw has become quite popular. And I'll go on to OpenClaw in a bit. But I think it's important for people to know that you then have tasks and systems set up called crons that can run every day that do, this is kind of like NA10. It's like a step-by-step function automation that will just run, essentially. So that then basically fires, and that uses Trigify's data that it's pulling into here to then update the skills according to what we're seeing and what we're not seeing based on the results and how everything's performing.
And so just if we summarize this quickly, it's like, I mean, like you have your skill and it creates content, the content gets published, and then Trigify goes and then scrapes the engagement. Can Trigify also know what type of post it was? As in, could Trigify tell you it was a carousel post, an infographic, or a video? Okay, so then like based on the post, then from Trigify you're able to pull this information and then have it added to this content folder. And now like this content folder has all of the content types with all the results, and also I guess the author. And then like, do you apply some sort of weighting system based on, say, how close the creator is to your niche, or like whether it's like you versus someone else? Because I'd be thinking that perhaps it's important to look at to update the skill. Let's say if Adam Robinson comes up with some new format that just like gets some great result, but then it would still be more important to have the skill be updated based on your results. And so I would assume that like based on this, you could say, okay, like you can adapt the skill based on what Adam Robinson is doing, but I am the priority in terms of, how this skill should evolve.
This is a good point. So this is where we're getting into the weeds a little bit, but there's two parts, right? There's Adam Robinson, for example, that I follow. I don't look at you for the content. I don't really care about the content that you post. I more care about the style of writing, the length, the hooks. It's what is resonating with the kind of vocabulary, the colloquialisms, the style, the format. Now, the topics is something entirely different. The topics, the way that the kind of topic generation and ideas for me on what to post about comes about is I then have another cron job set up that's analyzing all of my team's calls, and we do hundreds a week. It's analyzing things such as what are people asking, what are people talking about. That gives me data because that's really interesting. I know then, okay, what do people want to hear? What do people want to see? That's one part. The other part is I have social listening searches set up across like X and LinkedIn and podcasts and YouTube and Reddit actually, which is an interesting one, on intent topics. And I'm not talking about, your shitty intent that for sales. I'm more talking about like, okay, what's intent for us, which is who's talking about things like Claude Code linked to marketing, or OpenClaw linked to marketing, or agentic social listening, or even just social listening, right? And we take all of that and we're monitoring, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of posts. What is landing? What's coming up loads? What's landing really well? What's topical? Because, it's so interesting just with my LinkedIn is like, right now, for example, and this is why we're on the call, is if I post about OpenClaw, it does really fucking well because it's topical. I try and deviate away from it, it doesn't do as well. So it's really important to stay abreast of what is resonating with people right now. And that's where we have that social listening topic set up, which then everything feeds into the content folder and then feeds into the skills, which is looking at all of this information, processing it and saying, okay, hey, maybe we should do this topic and maybe we should incorporate this style because this is working over there. We layer our topic on, we learn, did it work, did it not? If not, we try again. And by the way, that also factors in things such as posting times, content style, so images, GIFs, videos, things like that as well. It all kind of, it's this, it's very in-depth analysis to try and like really kind of programmatically crack social media essentially, and blogs, by the way. And since our blogs are all generated through the OpenClaw agents that we have, and we've suddenly started getting, like this week alone, we've had 40 inbounds through Claude, and they're all through, it's kind of the dead internet theory. It kind of makes me laugh. It's, an agent wrote the blog and the agent is then referencing the blog.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like the whole kind of premise.
It's like, say it's today, you want to write your post of the day. It's like, then what happens? Does OpenClaw actually call Codex or Claude Code, and then like the entire post is written down, and then you have a draft, and then you're looking at the draft and you edit it out? Or like, are you asking like, what should I write? Like, how does it look like in terms of, say, having the post being drafted and published?
Mm-hmm. So let's go on to OpenClaw, because I think this is where this starts to come in. Prior to OpenClaw, I had it storing as like an MD file inside of that terminal. And the reason I wanted to start with the terminal is that terminal, the repo that I've got in there, which is our Trigify marketing, is so pivotal because that still is what OpenClaw works from within. And so what I have is every day, if I'm working from Claude Code, not through OpenClaw, this will push into GitHub, and then OpenClaw downloads it every day as well. So it's syncing with each other. But also what I can do actually, which is really cool, this is the latest update that I did, is I've actually wired them together. So I can say, it can chat to OpenClaw from here. So I've created like a network basically between, or a gateway between the two. And this is now going to go ahead and speak to OpenClaw, and I can obviously have OpenClaw speak back to Claude Code as well. So they can now chat to each other and things like that as well. So going on to OpenClaw. So we know it's the conductor, like that's the key. And the benefits with OpenClaw, and I won't go into security, but I think I'd be amiss not to mention it. Like that's like a whole topic in of itself. The key thing is make sure you're running it in sandbox. Make sure there's like a new thing with the NemoClaw as well. NVIDIA just added like a security layer that you can kind of factor in here. Give it its own computer. Like a lot of people ask, VPS VPS versus Mac Mini. The Mac Minis are way better to do this, or an old laptop. It just is. You don't have to create tunnels the entire time. It's a lot easier. It also has more features that it can do because it's operating on a computer. So yeah, I have 3 different agents. So it's like, Bella, what is your role? So we've got Bella, who is the kind of the chief strategy officer for my AI team. There we go.
Okay.
She orchestrates the other agents. So we have Rex, who's our marketing man, and then we have Taz, who basically is like our product manager, essentially.
Okay.
Every day, this is where it gets pretty wild. Bella obviously has all of the knowledge from all of the repo. She's connected into a lot of our systems through her own email address, through her own connections. She has a daily stand-up at 9 a.m. with this team. They review all of the calls that have been going on the previous weeks. They review our business performance, the metrics, what's been going on, literally everything. And then they work out, okay, based on priorities, let's go do X, Y, Z. So if they've noticed, for example, like, conversion drop-offs have been going low, they might think, okay, we need to create more educational content on our help docs. We need to maybe review our onboarding emails. And this is so cool because you can see inside of here, this is their AI chat. I don't get involved in here. This is just like them. Look at this. This is every day. Like they're just talking to each other basically.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah. So yesterday, here's Rex, daily sweep and tell, CS churn detection, one page remains blocked. It's saying like what's being blocked, what's not. They're saying, okay, Max needs to go and approve this. There's an agentic blog. There's listicle outreach templates. Something's going on with Reddit there that I need to look at. Brand visibility. Someone basically claimed they can replace Trigify with raw APIs, which is ironic because they're actually customers still. But people do funny things. People do funny things for posts. So that's like them like chatting. And what happens is, right, like we've got lots of different things here where we break this down, right? So, this is Piers who, look, he's literally chatting right now, talking to him about blog status and Klaviyo and et cetera. Look, he's created like this whole blog flow that's creating with Rex right now as we speak. We've got this LinkedIn here, so this is really interesting. Last week I posted on Clay changing their pricing. It did well, and so I asked, what other subjects could be good. It has access to everything, right? And this is where I think it's really cool because the context that it has is huge. It obviously has the repo that we created on Claude Code. And then the more that my team talk to it, the more that it's used, the memory just keeps compounding and gets better and better and better. And the more that you put into it, the more that you start to get out basically as like a result.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting is it says by itself, oh, by the way, I posted about that. It went super well. And then it asks, but then when it asks, who does it ask? Does it ask you what other content we could do? Or does it ask the other agent and then the other agent
It asks
comes?
me, unless instructed to go ask the other agents. I can tell it to go ask the other agents. But yeah, it'll work with me. We launched our creator program with Bella and Rex, basically. Hugo, again, it's a lot of the stuff we do hook it up to
I see my
Trigify,
name.
right?
I see my name, number 4 here.
There you go, buddy. There you go.
Let's
So
go.
you've been suggested as a potential ambassador based on your engagement. So well
Should be
done. You made
I
the
should be
cut.
number 1 if you ask me, but it's fine.
You're not quite getting the same level of engagements in here.
Yeah. That's true.
That's a lot though, to be fair. That's on YouTube, so that's somewhat massive, to be fair. Look at that, 1.2 million subscribers. So yeah, so like every different things are being kind of ran and controlled, and this is where we talk to them. But one of the things is that we realized is, this was starting to get really messy because we were doing so many different things. There were so many different cron jobs. And the cool thing about OpenAI, or OpenClaw rather, I should say, is this is the cron doesn't require as much complexity as Claude Code. So I could just say, hey, like set up a task to go do X, Y, Z, and it will just do that. It will do that without anything sophisticated. The other cool thing that I can do inside of here is I can say like, Bella, let's fire up a Claude Code session. And it's then going to go and work with Claude Code now. And I then can do some coding through here. And Bella can run it. Bella can look at it. She can review it. She can control it. She can log into these platforms. She has access to the browser. So she can go do all this fun stuff, She posts my Substack for me. So I'm just messaging her sometimes when I'm out and about. And I'm like, remind me of what the draft Substack was. Can you go onto my Substack and post it for me? And she'll log in, away she goes and posts it and things like that.
Nice. Max, one thing it would be very interesting to see, I don't know if you were done with the sort of like OpenClaw first explainer, would be like the process of, say, you asking Bella or whoever should be asked to create a LinkedIn post as an example.
Yeah, we can do that. What do you want it to be on?
I think one thing that's interesting is that it actually has context on the topics. So it'd be interesting to have, as in like, for you to ask the agent, like, what's a trendy topic or what's a topic I should talk about based on my past results. And then once it sort of picks a topic, to have it draft some sort of post respecting, I guess, the best practices coming from the skills that you've trained from, like all of the best resources plus the results you've been getting.
Here we go. Look, it's quite funny. So I was doing this with you just before we spoke, which is updating our mission control, which I'll show you in a sec, which is basically where I see all of the outputs from Bella. Our agents are publishing for 20 days, so it's a contrarian honest post. Cold email terminal, so talking about like how to use like cold email purely from like a terminal could be a good one. Yes. Tech stack breakdown. This is right up your street. Here's the tools that we use. It thinks that we should go for like 1 or 3 for some reason. It shows real AI production stuff. The honesty post would be a polarizing in a good way. Founders love seeing other founders admit bottlenecks. So it thinks like it's going for the vulnerability play because it's seen that like if you're vulnerable and you talk about fuck-ups or things that don't work, people really love that, like, I'm going to be like breaking down my barrier type approach.
I'd go personally for 4 or 5, but obviously I'm biased because I think that like what's interesting about 4 is that like the tech stack angle always works, but here the tech stack wouldn't just be software, it would be hardware mixing with because like I guess you could go with an angle that would be like at the counterpoint of what code like you post. It's like you could say the biggest cold email agencies post like 15 plus tool tech stacks. My tech stack is OpenClaw and 3 Mac Minis or something like this. I think it'd be an interesting angle. Otherwise, I know the cold email terminal angle is great. I think I went viral with an angle.
Yeah, nice. And I think like this was key. Like as we're working with it, like a lot of what I do is not fully autonomous. The idea is that we have the team. And then the team is, you've seen live, like literally, I think it was, you can see inside of here. So this is literally someone working right now, giving some instructions. So for example, here, Piers has said we don't need a schema markup. It's already in dynamic schema and Webflow. So what will happen at the end of this call, once good to know, Rex will then update his memory as well as his skill, which is blog creation, so he doesn't need to do it again. And the idea is we don't fully autonomize everything. It's more human in the loop and you power with them. So like the other day, Piers restructured our entire help center. It was a complete mess. Restructured our entire help center and added in an additional 35 articles into that help center. He did that through working with it. Bella would log into the Trigify platform, would go do all of this stuff as well, which is key. Nice. So I run my entire SaaS operation from a Mac Mini and 5 AI agents, no ops teams, no VA. Here's the actual stack. The hardware, Mac Mini M4, run 24/7 on my desk. That's it. That's the server. The agents all running on OpenClaw. Now it's talking about the agents themselves.
Yeah.
Today the pool. So it's actually merged a lot of what today the pool 77 commits emerged what I launched. What they plug into: Linear, Featurebase, Fireflies, HubSpot, Slack, Firecrawl, Google Sheets, Brave Search, HeyReach, Notion, Loops, and our own product Trigify via the MCP. So yeah, this is basically what it does here.
It's actually pretty strong.
It's pretty good. You might tweak things here and there, and then like where does it go? So that's the next question, because if you sometimes can lose things inside of the Discord channel, and that's the challenge.
Okay.
So this then opens up this section, and this is kind of the last part to the puzzle here. This is like the mission control is what we call it, right? And so basically inside of here, I can see all of my different agents that I have. So this is who they are. This is what they do. If you really want, this is quite fun. I can even see them walking around. I watch them play with each other. Watch them.
What is this platform that you're showing?
This is my mission control that we built, basically.
Okay, it's an internal tool that you built.
Yeah. We took an open source version and have started to adapt it to our requirements. Yeah.
Okay, I see.
So you can click on Rex, for example. You can start to pair him up with other agents to go work on some task or something like that. It's quite fun. But inside of here, you get the whole overview. So I can see the agents. I can see, for example, if you look at the cron here. So this is showing you the daily tasks that they're doing. So we've got one here where it's monitoring feature base. It checks for any bugs if people are reporting bugs. If they report bugs, it logs into the Trigify platform, sees if it can reproduce it. If it can reproduce it, it's okay, shit, this is a decent bug. We'll go add it to Linear. It adds it to Linear, which tags the tech team. You've got memory stuff inside of here. You've got the morning huddles. There's a lot of different stuff that happens every day. And then what kind of comes out, the end result is we've got these kind of two important boards. So this is the task board. So this was created this morning. Created this morning. I haven't gone and reviewed these tasks yet, but this is pulling transcripts. So it's basically saying, hey, this is what it's going to go do. And I can kind of stop them doing things. If they're going a little bit left field, I can be no, don't go do that. Or go do that, basically, or whatever it is. So it's all coming in. And this is saying we should run some PAYG experiments. It's saying that it's going to go basically do a credit clarity page, nudge email sequencing, marketing own, zero engage effort, specs ready for 20 days. So that's basically saying that it's going to go do that. And what I would do is if I'm happy with it, I move it to approved. There's an error there, but I move it to approved. And then basically the agent would go and have the thumbs up that it's going to start doing that. So I stay in control of a lot of things. And then the other one is our content pipeline. So once it produces stuff, it starts to add it all into here as well. So in case I ever forget, I've got all of the content that's come in here. So updated 4 hours ago, Bella was okay, here's the original LinkedIn post. I basically broken it down into a X thread for you. So I built an AI agent that watches social media for buying signals, finds people worth talking to, sends a message based on what they actually care about. It booked 3 meetings in one day. I didn't touch it. Tweet 2, here's the old way, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, nice. I like how it actually formatted it into, several tweets, because the thread is several tweets. And then the way it picked this angle is because you published that on LinkedIn and then it saw that it performed well. So it just figured,
Correct.
Let's repurpose that for X.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you got blogs inside of here. These are all reviewed. So again, things inside of here, credit explainer articles, agentic social listening. Here's the whole blog. So the marketing team goes in and basically approves that, and then that gets added to Webflow, newsletters if anything's there, things like that. So this is like mainly we work outside of Discord like 95% of the time. And if we want to go view things, so I just log in here in the morning and approve or not approve certain tasks, basically.
Wow. Okay. And then I think in the beginning at the beginning of the conversation, you mentioned that you have the OpenClaw agent that you say is the conductor, and essentially like he will use Claude Code or Codex under the hood. I think right now it's more Codex than Claude Code because it does seem that its performance at the moment is better than the one from Anthropic's models.
Yep.
So the question I have is, say I want to create a setup that resemble your setup, is how would I get started here? Like, should I start with the OpenClaw and then see, or like the opposite, actually have the Claude Code or Codex sort of interface being fleshed out and then like see how to
I feel like
add.
you've got to get comfortable with Claude Code to be able to, like, OpenClaw is easy. Like, the setup is not easier. It's very hard to set up. To get the results that you want to be good is very hard. That's why it's got so many competitors suddenly now. Perplexity just brought out the Perplexity computer. I think Manus just brought out something simpler. They're a lot more like turnkey solutions, a lot more limited, I think, than OpenClaw, because OpenClaw is obviously open source. It's rapidly like evolving and you can customize it. That's the idea behind it.
Yeah.
But if you're not comfortable with Claude Code or Codex in the first place, they're kind of two in one and the same thing, really. You're not going to do very well. Like, you need to understand skills. You need to understand how to architect this thing in the first place. So my advice would be, don't go into a terminal because that's going to be confusing. Start with like Claude Cowork or Claude Code. Start with a particular project, like just blogs. Just pick something with blogs and build out a skill. And then from there, you'll start expanding. Don't try and build this all-encompassing kind of things, because it takes time and it takes a lot of iteration and it takes dedication. That's the other thing, that a lot of people do this, the results aren't that good, they give up. It's just like an employee. They're usually pretty bad, like for the first like 2 months, because it requires a lot of training to get them to like, this is how we do things, this is like where we're going, blah blah blah, right? It's no different.
Right now, I mean, today your tech stack, because you actually had Bella write the post, but so what's your tech stack right now then for
Fireflies, albeit I've just built my own version of that now, so I'm dropping that because there's no need. But yeah, Fireflies, we use Linear for a lot of our product stuff, so Linear is still in use. Attio actually is the CRM that we tend to use, if at all. To be honest, we mainly work out of Supabase, and I've actually built like a custom like reporting and signal suite and things like that myself. So we've got our own like signal platform that we basically built internally that we're using there. Trigify, obviously, for all things like social listening, social actions based as well. And then things for like enrichment, we use like Surf and Lead Magic and them lot when we're doing cold email. We just switched over to Plus Vibe for cold email. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Plus Vibe, no, actually.
Plus Vibe, yeah, but we've been really happy with like the performance of them, and good guys over there as well. So they're great for like managing like our like LinkedIn and stuff like that. We use a tool called Smuggler.
And about the whole same Codex Claude Code, because once again you mentioned that nowadays you use Codex more than Claude Code. Yeah, what's the reason? It's way clever, okay.
It depends what you're doing. For coding, I use Codex. For if I'm using like the model that powers my OpenClaw is Anthropic's Opus or Sonnet 4.6. So if I'm using writing-based stuff, I use Sonnet 4.6. If I'm doing coding, I use Codex. If I'm using more agentic-based systems, I'll use Opus. And then they got, again, various different tools hooked up to them to enable them to do different things. Yeah.
And so your OpenClaw instance knows which to use for which use case. Okay, like for example, for writing tasks, then it knows. So because you'd say like for more creative sort of tasks, okay, like writing, designing,
Sonnet 4.6 I'll use for that. So Bella, the main agent, will use Opus 4.6. then if it's a writing task, she'll spawn a sub-agent that will use 4.6 Sonnet, and she'll work with that agent to be like, and she'll vet the work that it's done until she's happy with it. It's so funny. Like the other day, she sent me a message, like, because this is the thing, it basically is working 24/7, right? So it's going to continuously review things, especially if you set up cron jobs to be like, review what's going on, analyze performance. And I got a message from her saying she's really disappointed with like Taz's performance. And she's like given feedback that Taz, the our other agent, been very disappointed with how it's like been operating recently. So she's given it feedback, told it to update its systems to do X, Y, Z, and improved it basically. And that's so wild. It's just amazing. And I was joking with my team. I was like, "Oh, there's drama happening over in the
drama
agent
between the agents." Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool.
But yeah, she'll know to delegate the tasks, and they all work from the same system, so they all know to delegate certain tasks and use certain models for certain things.
Nice. I have like a couple of questions before end the conversation. So one thing is, as someone who's played so much with these agents, the likes of OpenClaw, Claude Code and Codex and so on, what do you deem are the most useful tasks to say automate with agents? You know, say like putting yourself in the shoes of any business owner, founder. It's like, what are the first things they should go around automating?
I honestly think where I started was in this kind of content space. So blogs, newsletters, LinkedIn, X. I think you're a big advocate of it. Everyone is. Like, I was on a call the other day with the CEO of Chili Piper, Adam Robinson, Jesse from Lead Magic. There was loads of us on there, and it was like unequivocally everyone said the same thing, which is content is so important. Founder-led brands is still as important as it ever had been, and really your only moat this day and age is distribution, right? And I know you're a big believer in that, because that's what Cold IQ kind of is all about. And without that, kind of the identity of Cold IQ would be not what it is right now, right? And so I think you start there. Now, I will caveat, like, you don't go and do unauthentic posts. We don't do that. We don't have like AI just putting out shit and slop. This is why it requires you setting up, adding all the context, and it's very human powered, right? Like it's human in the loop to work with you to help your team. And a lot of people struggle with posting, and you want to get your team to post. So like employee advocacy with this agents would be the first place that like I would start, and it's the first place that I started, because you also get the quickest wins from doing it as well.
I like it. And then like even when it comes to content, it's like, I guess the content mining part, it's perhaps more interesting to automate than the actual content writing bit.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you can write it. Like, you need a topic. Like, what should I talk about? Like, you sometimes, and I'm sure you've had it, even though you're great at posting, like, fuck, what do I post today? Like, I don't really know what to post today. Or you might even start to get fatigue of posting, right? Like we were talking about that off air. Like, I need inspiration, I need source material. That's been like this kind of a tangent there, but that's been a huge one for me, because one of my like daily tasks is like, once the kids are gone to bed and I sit down and watch something on TV, like I do doom scroll a little bit on X, and there's so much. X is so much better than LinkedIn for like finding valuable, like what people are actually doing. I find it's more of a place for like me, like I was like, this is technical stuff, like I'm enjoying this. And so again, through Trigify, and then Bella, our agent, like she's reading everything for me now. So again, I just don't have to do that, and being like, separating the wheat from the chaff, so to speak, which is like, this is good, this is really interesting, we should explore this more, go look at this is just AI slop jargon. People just, hype man, it's not fear-mongering type thing, which happens quite a lot with AI.
And last question on my end. You seem like you have, say, hundreds of ideas for things to automate or build, at a time. I'm wondering, say, what's the next big thing you are looking to automate or have agent take care for you on your behalf?
You think AI, like everyone thinks AI is going to take jobs. Like it's given me so much more to do, like because I keep spinning up things and and ideas and stuff like that. But I feel like we've got our marketing and sales process in quite a good place with it. There's a lot of refining and a lot of add-ons that we need to do there. But the next big bit of work is Trigify is a really small team. We're smaller than you guys. We're a lot smaller than everyone thinks. We're only 6 people in the company.
Yeah.
And we were introducing a new agent called Clive. And Clive is the coding agent. And we want to get to a point where we're freeing up our developers to work on larger epic pieces of work. So more important, heavy hitting feature requests, things like that. And, any regressions or bugs that we might get on the platform, like we want to be fully automated to a degree. And so we've been creating this system where issues are detected. Clive picks them up, Clive starts working on them, Clive builds it, Clive fixes it, Clive then logs in and Clive then tests it. He does everything end to end before he then gets approval and creates the PR basically. So we're wanting to create this like autonomous coding agent. And I know everyone's like, we have coding agents. It's not Cursor, this isn't that. It's basically applying like an OpenClaw logic to, it's not OpenClaw, but an OpenClaw logic to conducting, fixing things within the platform, which again, just unlocks, for me, when I think about being a founder, it's like, where can I free up time to either unlock not having to go hire loads more people, which therefore like the costs of the business remain, very efficient. Yeah. And where gives us the biggest impacts, in theory, a customer could flag a bug and it's fixed within 15, 20 minutes potentially. So it's also going to mean that we're rapid and it's a good customer experience as a result. And so there's that. And then just to add to that, the next part is then customer success. So introducing an agent, not just like our kind of, typical intercom style agent, like a proper agent that then works with the customer, works with Clive, and it comes in, flags it, checks it, is a bug, okay, is a bug, it's not the user being an idiot. Okay, go speak to Clive, Clive fixes it, Clive speaks back to that agent, and then that agent then says, okay, this is all fixed now. And then they can start to work in tandem on like our lower level customers, basically, like not our enterprise-based customers,
Yeah, because like, here you mentioned like agents that would help fix bug, and I think like even go like as far as fixing some advanced bugs. Are you thinking of implementing, say, agents that say actually help run Trigify for companies? Like I don't know how advanced it is at the moment, but say I'm an enterprise user of Trigify, and it's like I'm wondering what to do. Like perhaps you can see that I'm not using the product as much as I should, and so based on that, I would assume that one of your agents would see product usage is low, or I need to help Mitcham connect you, so you get some value, and then like the agent would on its own perhaps go and find some sort of place I could prospect on. Is that like something that's already here, or like that you're already thinking of?
That's already. So we launched Jarvis into the platform. So at the moment, Jarvis is more of a co-pilot. He can help you build and design the platform, give you ideas. The next iteration of Jarvis is to proactively work with the customer. So Jarvis, there will be thousands of Jarvises, if that makes sense. So the more you work with Jarvis, the better Jarvis becomes for you. Jarvis will ping you if you're not like logging in. Jarvis will give you ideas. He'll fix things for you. So yes, that's already in the works, already what we're thinking about. And again, it's just joining up. We know that the technology isn't there to do all of this to a really good level right now. But the key thing is you have to start building towards these things and working towards this slowly and putting in the foundations, because the technology is coming and the capabilities are there from the intelligence level, from models. It's just all about now, how can you create an agentic framework that makes it reliable at a level of scale and doesn't kind of hallucinate and doesn't do these things. The model on its own, isolated, it's smarter than me and you. It doesn't need to get cleverer. It just needs to be better with how it can handle large volumes of context and things like that, which is slowly starting to happen now, more and more.
It's almost like you are building some sort of OpenClaw for social signals for each of your user, because then it's like that's eventually what happens. It's like back in the days, if I were buying Trigify, I mean, like this was like the early versions of Trigify, then I'd have to sort of like pick up the social signals on my own. So I would have to pick some of my competition, for example, and then like scrape their engagement, and then I would have to run the workflows on my own. But then it's like the vision becomes, okay, no, you sign up, and then I'm able to pick, it's like to sort of extract any relevant information on code like you. And so now based on that, I'm gonna proactively scrape every post that's like relevant to your team. I'm gonna pick up the signals, and then I could even, if you agree, orchestrate some outreach, or like just like the giveaway of the relevancy.
So you're going to be able to connect external tools to it. So you hit the nail on the head. The idea is it's going to be like OpenClaw, but very trained for social specific, right? So already in early testing, it's analyzed my post proactively without me telling it to do so, and it's like, hey Max, this post actually got more engagement from ICP. It got less total engagement, but ICP had a high hit, and I've tracked them to Attio, and I can see that you've had 5 signups off the back of this post versus none on the one that did really well. So my suggestion is like, if we're trying to drive leads as opposed to vanity metrics, let's do some more content around this and push this again. So that's kind of like the direction that it's like trying to take it in. Same thing, it has access to your call recording calls if you want it to, so it can be like, okay, like here's some content that we suggest. It's like, should I schedule this for Tuesday for you? Yeah, schedule it. Brilliant. And then again, it's this whole loop that we're working on. I've kind of like prototyped it and built it out in Claude Code and OpenClaw, and it's like how to make this accessible for everyone now.
I see. So I would connect my call transcripts, I would connect my CRM, and then it's like, because you have the data of, say, how the post went, you'd be able to give recommendation based on what I can post again to attract the right ICP, but also where I can extract from, because like I don't even need to be posting to gain from some value from Trigify, because I can essentially steal the engagement from competitors. As in, like in our case, we are getting stolen more than we steal from competitors. But like the whole example here is that, right? It's like you actually plug onto your actual, so like your CRM, your call transcripts, because this is where Trigify, or like Trigify's agent, will be able to get the feedback from the performance of the initial pieces, or like from the initial outreach that's been based on some engagement, and it will proactively, autonomously improve its own recommendation up to the moment where it knows so much about me and about the performance of my post that like is extremely accurate in terms of the recommendation it gives. And like this piece of the software, like, is it like in beta? Like, how can I access that? Because like I need to put someone from my team on that before it goes mainstream.
So Jarvis is already out. The Jarvis that we're talking about there now is in beta with the connections, and like we're doing a release a week. Like we're releasing a rapid pace at the moment. So we got to do some more iterations on the final piece. Mainly we're doing a big UI overhaul, so again it looks really nice. There's places to put the data once Jarvis creates it for you and things like that. But yeah, it's pretty much there. The first version of it's already out, so you can get started and use it, and you can ask it to go pull the engagements and give you reports, tell you what it would suggest, things like that as well.
What are you planning to have, like this sort of final version, ultimate version?
Well, like I said, so first version's already out. If you want the part where it will start to think for you, that's coming out in the next 4 weeks, basically.
Okay, nice, perfect. Yeah. Well, Max, this was extremely interesting. Actually, I had some high expectations because I know you, but you still managed to blow away my expectations. So before we end, like, do you have some sort of final thoughts you wanna share? And also, like, please let us know like how we can find you on social media. Like, where's the place we'll find like the most updated content you publish.
Yeah.
Where's Bella posting first, essentially?
Yeah, I mean, obviously LinkedIn is a big one. Just go find me there. I also have a Substack and I have a YouTube. I tend to put more of my, I mean, I have all socials, but like I tend to put more of my complex ones onto either LinkedIn and YouTube, like my longer form content. So yeah, give me some follows there. As for like final thoughts, I think I'm just gonna go back to like something that I talk a lot about, and I think what a lot of people need to realize that it's not about how we prompt agents really anymore. It's context is king. So really, whenever you're building these things, whether it's Claude Code, whether it's OpenClaw, whatever it is, think about like how can you provide enough context to these agents? How can you work on things like the memory so that over time, and this is what you want to create with anything that you're doing, and this is why human beings are good, is in theory, and if they're not, that's usually why you get rid of them, the more you put into an employee, the more you get out, right? And it's this same thing that you want to create. You want to create a system or an architectural with your agents. The more you put in, the more you can get out. And that's what I've been doing for me. That's what I've helped other people come to me do, is building that kind of architectural system in place for them to really start to scale their businesses as a result.
I love it. Thanks a lot, Max. I'm going to put your links in the bio, and then I'm going to be sharing your links wherever they need to be shared. But guys, like, follow Max Mitcham on LinkedIn, YouTube, wherever like you need to follow him if you want to know what's happening when it comes to like applying this new technology to lead generation. He's usually like a few steps ahead of your favorite creators when it comes to this shit. So like make sure to follow him. And Max, like, thanks a lot for coming here and to be so generous in sharing all of this, because we really had a glimpse of your internal systems, and so I think it's gonna give some inspiration to a lot of people.
There we go, dude. I hope that was helpful for you.
If not, bye bye.